Okay, people. Hi, everyone. We are here from a new webinar from Soul Java, and today we have a very special guest here, Mr. Kirk Pepperdine. He's in Brazil for QCon, and we have a little conversation here. We are having some coffee. And thank you for your time. Thank you for receiving us here.
Oh,
Thank you for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure.
it's fun to be here.
Yeah, first time Brazil, right?
First time in Brazil, first time in Sao Paulo. So yeah, it's kind of. I haven't seen anything yet, so I can't say anything except for there's definitely a lot of beef around here. A lot of cows.
A lot of barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of barbecues. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Are you enjoying?
That part, yes.
Yeah.
And the conference so far has been excellent. So the QCon conferences are always well put together, and I think there's always lots of interesting talks and things going on. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, have you already gave your talk, right?
Yeah, kidding. I gave my talk on Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Yeah, I was talking about mostly about JIT optimizations and how your code can affect JIT optimizations, and just little tweaks you can make to your code that actually makes your code better, but also helps the JIT compiler
Okay.
do better with it also. So yeah, so it's a fun little talk, I guess.
Yeah.
At least I thought so.
Okay. So, Kirk, we are almost on the release moment of the new versions of Java and Java EE.
Yeah.
You have some expectations about bug fixes, improvements, some performance improvements?
For Java 9? Or?
Yeah, for Java 9.
Um,
Something related to JVM, maybe.
Java 9 is going to be an exceptionally epic release, I believe, for a number of different reasons. First, I think one of the biggest changes is simply going to be Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And, my experience with decoupling code bases told me when they first proposed that this isn't going to be an easy thing to do. And I think that, Mark Reinhold did a lot of work, and he's done a really, really amazing job actually getting as far as he has. But the fear is he's simply not done. And we don't know if it's going to hold up the release of Java 9 now or not. I mean, of course, we hope not, and we hope that Mark makes the final breakthroughs that he needs to get to get everything working. But right now, I think there's some very serious deficiencies in the sense that there's a lot of tooling that doesn't work in Java 9, and there's more proposals on the table that would indicate that they're willing to break more of the tooling chain and in order to get the job done. And so this is a real concern because tooling. I mean, one of the success stories behind Java has been the phenomenal amount of tooling that we have to help us get stuff done or figure stuff out, or and to break the tooling chain, in my humble opinion, or not be so cognizant of the tooling chain, saying, well, we'll pick it up later, it's a huge mistake in the sense that, they'll release 9, but then no one's going to be able to use it because the tools that they've come to rely on and are dependent upon are simply not going to be there for them in Java 9.
It's released, but it's not done. It's not ready.
Well, I mean, you have to release some things sometimes. Like, so that part I get, and I have a lot of sympathy for Mark because I think he's taken on I would say an almost impossible task, and he's made it much, much, much farther than I figured that he would. He's almost done. And if he does pull it off, it's like, kudos to him. But, right now, because of that and a few other things, there are some serious deficiencies that are going to make adoption of 9 very problematic, which is a shame because there are a lot of other wonderful things coming in that release. That I think are needed or are going to be useful at least.
Sure.
And so, there will of course be the performance improvements. We're going to see, I think, significant improvements to the G1 garbage collector, since that's going to be the default collector, and then of course that's always still needed. And there's sort of a, like React frameworks that's coming in that's going to drop off of the wonderful work that Brian Getz has done with lambdas and streams and things like that. And really they're setting themselves up for Java 10, where we're going to get even other features that are going to come into play in Java 10 that are I think absolutely necessary. They're needed to keep the JVM relevant in today's computing. With today's computing platforms. Yeah.
So you think you may have some more delay for the release, or not? They will release anyway, and we'll respect another.
I don't think they can release the way things are today. I know that these guys are working really, really hard to make sure they get everything right, and they want people to try things and tell them what's breaking, and just basically putting everything out there that they can, so they can just say, okay, so that the release is as clean as possible. So it's not that they're not trying. It's not that they're not clever. It's just that the piece of work they've taken on is a phenomenally difficult thing to do.
It's a huge job.
It's a huge job. You have to be incredibly clever in order to be able to do things like this, or even consider doing them. I think most people are giving up by now. Said, just simply not possible. So I think it's a credit that they've been able to get this, but on the other hand, you have to look at it and say, okay, at what cost?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky thing. So my fingers crossed. I really hope that Mark is able to, put the final nail in it and get the delivery out on time. And
we hope. We all are hoping.
That'll be a huge burden off of his shoulders, I'm sure, and he should feel good about it. That's
a great job.
Yeah. It's an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah. You are a performance guy, performance specialist.
Yeah.
What we should expect from the performance specific in Java 9 on JVM? Some things on garbage collection or another point or something?
So let's see. We've been talking about the G1 GC since about 2008 or 7 or something like that. Yeah, and so like almost 10 years now. And I think what's emerging today is a collector that, if it works for you, it works very well. If it doesn't, it's difficult. It's just a difficult thing to deal with, and we're slowly learning how to tune it. But of course, as we learn how to tune it, then the Oracle guys are changing the implementation to make it better, which means that everything that we've learned sort of becomes questionable.
Okay.
So pretty much nothing that I'm doing today I expect to survive when Java 9 finally comes out in terms of tuning garbage collectors. I mean, the big promise was that people wouldn't have to tune collectors after this, and and we see cases where that's exactly what happens. But I see plenty more where we simply have to go in and do something because of one issue or not. I think there's just at issues. There's a whole bunch of just moving parts in there, and. And if you look at each application, I mean, it's really all about allocating, grabbing memory and then taking and recovering it, right? And there's different patterns and flows to how that happens, and each of the patterns and flows are unique to your particular application. It doesn't really matter what your application is doing. That's sort of like orthogonal to that, because all applications allocate, all applications release, right? So from the garbage collector allocation point of view, everything sort of looks the same. Okay, so really the issue is, what does that pattern actually look like? And then how do you make sure all of the different moving parts inside the memory management module of the JVM cope with that particular signal that they're getting in terms of allocations and recoveries that they need to be doing. And so if your signal happens to be in the band where it fits how the JVM is configured by default, or as you resize, things get configured, resized, and things like that. So if it all fits, then life is wonderful. If not, trying to reconfigure an individual component generally has consequences for the other components, and you get this sort of emergent behavior happening inside the garbage collector. And at that point, it becomes very, very difficult to predict what the effect of changing any of the other configurations of any of the other moving parts is going to have on the overall system.
It's tricky, very tricky.
Yeah, it's really, really almost completely unpredictable. So we will do things and we'll get results like we expect, and then we'll do things and you'll get results that you're looking and scratching your head going, okay, this doesn't, you have to dig around to figure out, okay, why did this happen? So yeah, it's tricky, but I think in general the whole thing is moving in the correct direction.
Nice, nice to hear. We have a big difference related to performance between Java versions, JVM versions, from 7 to 8, from 8 to 9. We have a big difference related to performance.
Yeah, generally it gets faster. Yeah. Not always, not for everything, but I think in the general case, you get So, I run a performance tuning workshop, and I wrote a bunch of exercises, and, I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that they run nicely on all the different versions, and, every once in a while, one of the exercises just stops working. It doesn't give the results that you were getting in the past, mostly because the engineers went in and they just developed that part of the JVM, and all of a sudden the bad effect that I was counting on to make the program run poorly just simply goes away. And then you just get a performance boost, which means my benchmark no longer has an interesting performance characteristic that you can use to show off how things work for this particular version. And and that's good. That really means that we're the JVM is getting better. It's still getting faster. It's progressing.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah, that's
for
awesome.
everybody.
Yeah. We all know that performance is a big subject when we talk about software development. We should be coding, think about performance. What kind of tips you would give to Java developers?
Don't think about performance.
Don't think?
No. Don't think about performance. If you're thinking about architecturally, you're going to have to lay out a good solid architecture that is going to scale, not have, not be hindered by couplings or transactional qualities and things like that are going to reduce scalability. So I think in this case you have to be cognizant of queuing theory, like Little's law, right? Effects of serialization, figuring out where the points of serialization are in your architecture and seeing if you can bust them up, right? So if you don't need them, do I actually need a transaction? Do I need like a two-phase commit here? Because I know that those things are going to have devastating effects on the throughput of the entire system, as opposed to if I can just have maybe eventual consistency or something like that, then I don't need those two-phase commit things, and the result is that I'm generally going to have a system that's more scalable, and it's going to just have higher throughput in general, right? So if you get architecturally, you get some bases, some strong foundation there, then the rest is just coding for correctness. And if you're following good coding practices, localized variables, small methods, you go through the solid principles, single responsibility, inversion, dependency inversions, and just all the good things. Be careful of the couplings. Be aware that you not only have implicit couplings, but you also are going to have let me restart. Just be aware that you're not only going to have explicit couplings, but you're also going to have implicit couplings that are quote unquote hidden from you. And so if you are controlling the couplings and just doing those good coding things, then the chances of you running into a real serious performance problem with a well-architected system is fairly low. And if you do, then you can just tackle that part of the system.
Sure. Isolate the problem.
In this case, I think it's one client that we work with, which is doing this in a brilliant way. They're able to fork their production traffic off onto their test environment. Their test environment is running 24/7. It's always testing. So every time they deploy into their test environment, right, they're automatically testing their system from live production data coming in at live rates and stuff like that. So they know precisely how their system is performing, and they know if they have any performance regressions almost immediately, and they can go in and solve the performance regression right then and there on the spot.
If any new code goes wrong, he's ready to attack.
Bingo, right. So they have a lot of testing before, and then they'll deploy into the test environment, and then that's it.
That's awesome.
It's a really awesome process, and it really helps them obtain really nice results when they roll the application into the production environment. Now, actually, the rollout is very easy. They take their test environment, and they make it their production environment, and they take their production environment and make it their test environment. So they just do it like an in-place swap.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And you see other companies coming up with different techniques that basically, in my opinion, are obsolete test environments. So they can see in a safe way what's happening to the code in a production environment. You can do the testing and everything in the production environment.
Sure. So the key is to have a good architecture basis, following good
coding practices.
Yes. And we are good.
And you're good.
In most
you're
cases.
going to be good in most cases. Yeah. There'll be a little bit of tuning, different components, like technical tuning is what we call it, just like flipping knobs, and after that you should be done.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
We have many buzzwords today, like microprofile, like
microprofile.
like microservice, containers, new Java versions, whatever.
Yeah.
There are some of that buzzwords that we should be investing our time right now, thinking our career in long term, to improve our careers. Do you see some of that buzzwords that will really last for a long time?
Microservices, I think, are going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And I say this is because if you look at so way back when I first started, the first really large distributed system I worked on was based on all of the principles that you see within microservices today. And it was probably one of the most successful applications that I actually worked on in terms of durability and just all of the other things that come in scalability and things like that. So and it was an amazing project. I feel very fortunate to work on it, and at that point you could see the power of properly partitioning the problem and building a solid backplane that you can use to communicate with all of the different components and things like that. So in my mind, anything that started to look like that was something that you should probably pay attention to. And microservices looks like that. So it's definitely something that you should, that I feel that people should pay attention to. You know, at that point in time, it just opened, you know, these type of architectures just open so many different possibilities. There are different and much better ways of doing things. That, well, I mean, one of the things, I think this is probably the most important thing, is just the ability to experiment in production environments. Okay. Microservice styled architectures allow you to experiment, run many experiments, some of them all at the same time, right? And just repeat the experiments. You can roll them over as fast as you can run, right? You don't have any constraints on, or not many constraints on how fast you can actually run all of these things. And the thing is, like, these things just make a huge difference, right? To the team's ability to adapt to change or maintain change or just deploy. And that ripples out into how organizations are structured, right? So the ramifications of this are just like very broad. You know, microservices, in my humble opinion, should pretty much obsolete broken test environments, right? Because most of the test environments are broken in very, very fundamental ways. So we have to wave over to Bodell to give an excellent talk yesterday on the perfect language at QCon. It was very, very nice to see her speak.
So you think microprofile will have some key role on the process? For,
yeah, you know, that might be the current buzzword in terms of, like, you know, how do we structure these things. So yes, yeah, I mean, you necessarily have to. It might not be the best way, but you know, that's the current way. So you got to pay attention, right? And so containers go with that picture, obviously. So you have to pay attention to them. I've never really been a fan of containers the way that they've been implemented, but I mean, they do have their uses, and people are using them for you know, for different reasons. So I think as long as you use them correctly, they're okay. But you know, if you have really low latency performance concerns, then the containers will get in the way.
Yeah. So, Kirk, you are a very experienced professional. You are one of the first Java champions, right?
I think I was in the second wave or so.
Yeah, second wave. 2006, right?
2006, that's correct, yes.
Yeah, I believe that Java champions are reference for us in Java community. Are people that are helping the whole ecosystem to improve. If a developer wants to become a Java champion, or this kind of reference that a Java champion is, what he or she should be doing right now? What should invest in their time?
Do what you love.
Yeah.
Just get into the community and do what you love and share the love. That's all. I mean, I didn't do anything special to become a Java champion. There's nothing I was looking for. I mean, well, the program was new, so I didn't even know about it, right?
Sure.
So what was I doing? Well, I was writing about Java, speaking about Java. We were involved in different aspects of Java, promoting different things that different people were doing, and just, you know, just generally having fun.
So basically, sharing, helping,
spreading ideas, and, you know, just
getting involved. Yeah.
Just be passionate about what you do,
Sure.
right? Just have fun. I don't think you should do that to become a Java champion.
Sure.
You should just do it, because if you don't like what you're doing, then
go find another thing. Right?
Well, yeah, try to find. There's lots of fun things, you know, to do. So,
Sure.
but, you know, it's more for your life or your lifestyle, right? You want to be doing something you don't like to be doing for the rest of your life. It's just, I can't imagine a more dreadful thing.
Yeah. So,
It's just terrible.
are there any resources like books, blogs, podcasts, or anything that you recommend for Java developers to improve their career?
Java developers.
Any reference, any material?
You know, the types of references. I think it's just get involved with groups that are interested in the same things you are. That you can easily find the groups. There's all kinds of social groups around there. So, and there's so many different things going on in the Java community. Well, actually, in the whole development community, that you can, if you're interested in something, just search it out and find the like-minded people and just group up with them, and they will lead you to the resources that will help you further understand the problem that you're trying to.
Because resources change a lot.
Obrigado. Thank you. Sorry?
No, because the resources change a lot also. Because the new version.
Yeah, but if you're in that group, they will. I care about performance. So what do? We started mailing lists, performance groups, and things like that. And different people join different groups and different communities. But you have your finger in each of the little groups, and we all talk about performance. So guess what happens? Something new happens. You get a link. You can go out and explore for a bit, share what you found, so other people benefit also.
True.
So you just have those types of conversations in your everyday life, and you will be up to date. I mean, if you go into your cubes, if you head in your computer, type out code all day, and at the end of the day quit, and then go off and do something else, which you probably should be doing anyways, obviously, but if you don't stick your head up out of the cube and look at the bigger, broader world every day, eventually you'll get left behind.
Yeah. So again, the key is getting involved, right? To participate and sharing.
Just participate. Find some time to participate.
Sure. Right.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Just get involved. Everything else will come.
Yeah. Awesome. You have any final thoughts, final words for the community, for the Sao Java guys that we watched our video?
It's a great community. It's a very diverse. We don't get along. We argue about all kinds of things. That's what makes it fun.
So thank you again for your time. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you.
Hope you are liking Brazil and come back. Hope we can see each other.
I'll be able to tell you more after today, so I'm finally going to probably go out and see things, assuming that the weather cooperates somewhat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for accepting our invitation to watch this video. Hope it's a good content for you. And click on subscribe on the YouTube. And we see each other again. Bye-bye.
There you go.